Joining us now from Washington is Senator Carl Levin, a Democrat from Michigan. He, of course, is chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator Levin, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Great to be with you, Rachel.
So the Armed Services Committee spent about a year and a half preparing this report on the abuse of prisoners in U.S. military custody. There has been some angry pushback seemingly angry pushback from former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld. That said, one White House official does not seem to be denying your findings at all. That's Vice President Dick Cheney, who told ABC News this week that he did approve waterboarding as an interrogation technique for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. When you heard that from Dick Cheney, did you feel that confirmed the findings of your report? I mean, essentially, did he just admit to condoning torture?
As far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what he admitted. Now, he'll say that he doesn't admit supporting torture, but the facts are that the policies which were approved, the legal opinions authorized these harsh techniques, and when the Vice President of the United States says that he believes, and he said that just, a few nights ago, that waterboarding is appropriate, there is no other conclusion that I can reach other than that I know it's a form of torture. It's been acknowledged as a form of torture, I think, since the Inquisition. Senator McCain, who is the subject of torture, is absolutely clear on it. But I think every authority on waterboarding and torture will say that waterboarding constitutes torture.
One of the things that I think has been so I guess challenging to the American debate about this is that President Bush and Vice President Cheney have essentially argued that they have legalized waterboarding, that they have legalized torture. They think that the actions of their Justice Department made things like waterboarding not war crimes anymore. Are they right?
You can't just suddenly change something that's illegal into something that is legal by having a lawyer write an opinion saying that it's legal. Things can't work that way, or else someone could get a lawyer to say a crime is not a crime, and then that would be a defense. It is not a defense, and I was astounded, frankly, when I heard the Vice President of the United States sort of just blandly and blithely saying that, oh, he thought that was an appropriate thing, and yes, he was involved in the discussions about it.
Do there need to be prosecutions? You document very clearly that we have eroded the standards by which prisoners are treated in the United States. How do we unerode those standards if the people who authorized the erosion of those standards are essentially immunized from prosecution?
Well, the first thing we have to do is what we did, at least for the Department of Defense, is to bring to light the facts. What happened here? What was the origin of the use of these techniques? And that's what we did. We went back to Guantanamo and showed that, as a matter of fact, that the highest levels of this government, the President, when he said that the Geneva Convention did not apply, then the Secretary of Defense, when he authorized the use of aggressive techniques, and then the way they spread, first into Afghanistan, then to Iraq. This is the first step on reconstructing the respect of the world for this country, and I'm hopeful that the Obama administration will be taking major steps in that direction. We need to have the support of the world in our effort against terrorists.
Senator, I do want to press you a little bit on that point about the next steps and what the Obama administration might do. It sounds to me, as a layman and a concerned citizen in this, it seems to me like when you are assembling these facts and getting access to these documents and putting together this testimony, what you are doing is collecting the facts for an indictment. I know that that's not the role of the Senate Armed Services Committee, but that's what it feels like. Do you think there will be prosecutions, and will you argue that there should be?
What I think it is our role to do is to bring out the facts which we have, to state our conclusions which we have, which is where the origin of these techniques began, and then to turn over to the Justice Department of the next administration, because clearly this Justice Department is not willing to take an objective look, to turn over to the next Justice Department all the facts that we can and we have put together, and get our report, the rest of it, declassified. But then it seems to me it is appropriate that there be an outside commission appointed to take this out of politics, that would have the clear subpoena authority to get to the parts of this which are not yet clear, and that is the role of the CIA. We looked at the role of the Department of Defense, but the role of the CIA has not yet been looked at. And let an outside commission reach the kind of conclusions which then may or may not lead to indictments or to civil action. But it is not our role. It's not appropriate for us to make those kind of reach those kind of conclusions.
Senator Carl Levin, Democrat of Michigan, Chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Thank you so much for joining us tonight,
Great
sir.
being with you, Rachel.